Hey, good day. Welcome to another episode of the Rob Report. I am your host, Robert BOBTV Brown. The Bobby Brown Show is coming soon. Hold your horses and be patient. It's on the way. It ain't all that exciting anyway, so let me stop acting like I'm some kind of big deal. But today has been an interesting day. The debates is over, but Tulsi Gabbard put a whipping on Kamala Harris. But let's go and take a look at this, because a lot of things has happened into the 24-hour. Because not only did she lay up the smackdown on Kamala Harris, rock bottom, arcade old, you name it, stone cold stunner, she did all that to Kamala Harris. Then she wait till she's out of the ring to start talking trash. Usually when you are a wrestler and you go in there and you talk trash before you go in the ring, then you go in the ring and back it up. She talked the big game, act like she's the front runner. Let me tell you something. Let me just get into it, and then we'll talk about this later.
Senator Harris, you have also been quite critical of Vice President Biden's policies on race, specifically on the issue of busing in the 1970s, having benefited from busing when you were a young child. Vice President Biden says that your current position on busing, you're opposed to federally mandated busing, that position is the same as his position. Is he right?
That is simply false. And let's be very clear about it.
All right, so the bottom line is they're playing off of what happened the last debate, that when Kamala Harris got a little shine because she had the guts to dump on Joe. Everybody knows Joe is a racist. He's against just about, everybody who really checked out Joe Reckoning and his history of legislation knows Joe is a low-key racist. He smiles in your face, act like he's your best friend. Those are racists that you really got to be more concerned about. The Trumps of this world, smack, get out my face. We could easy to deal with these upfront racists. We know what you look like. Your hood is on and it's not on. We can see the hood, even though it's not on your head. You got a hood mentality, and it's coming out of your mouth with your racist word and your ideology. But Joe Biden is so low-key, so stealthy with his racism, it's ridiculous. So everybody knows he was against busing and a whole bunch of other things. But here we are, we know Kamala Harris hit him hard on that. But yet, her position on busing is the same as Joe Biden, but she gonna try to play it off like it ain't and blow it off. And now she's figured she gonna, well, if I dump on Joe one more time, one more again, then I get more points. I get more popular. Okay, we'll see. We'll see.
This. When Vice President Biden was in the United States Senate working with segregationists to oppose busing.
She going right back to when he was working with segregation. We're not talking about segregation right now, Kamala. We're talking about current position on busing. Miss Black Republican dressed up under the label of Democrat.
Which was the vehicle by which we would integrate America's public schools. Had I been in the United States Senate at that time, I would have been completely on the other side of the aisle. And let's be clear about this. Had those segregationists their way, I would not be a member of the United States Senate.
Now, I agree with her. She probably would be on the other side of the aisle. It's not because she's black, it's because she's East Indian. Right supremacists don't like East Indians either. But they could deal with an East Indian over a black. They'll take an East Indian over a real black person any day. Well, let's keep going.
Cory Booker would not be a member of the United States Senate, and Barack Obama would not have been in a position to nominate him to the title he now holds.
Now, she thought she was going to get some applaud on that. And let me tell you something. Barack Obama didn't nominate Joe Biden. He chose Joe Biden. The delegates nominated him. The super delegates nominated Biden at the convention. They probably got in the ear of Barack Obama to let them know your chances of winning an election is high, but you ain't enough to win the Rust Belt. You're not enough to win Farmtown. So we need to have a working class looking dude to be your vice president. Smart strategy. Because you don't want to get Louis Farrakhan as your VP. Oh, you losing, Obama. You're not going to get Al Sharpton. No, you ain't going to get somebody blacker than you. You got to get a white, conservative Democrat to be on your ticket if you're going to win the rest of those Republicans, Democrats, and independents. And it worked 2 terms. Let's keep going.
And so on that issue, we could not be more apart, which is that the vice president has still failed to acknowledge that it was wrong to take the position that he took at that time.
Now, why they got, look at Joe's face. Look at that face. He's like, why they put me between 2 people of color? One black and one believes she's black, but she's really East Indian, acting like she's black. She's a faker, poser. Look at Joe Biden's face. You're like, oh, geez, why me? Here we go again. It's Joe Biden, understand every time you get behind a woman and rub her shoulders and whisper in her ear, that's exactly how they look when you do this. Stu ain't going nowhere.
Now, I would like to also talk about this conversation about Eric Garner, because I, too, met with his mother. And one of the things that we've got to be clear about is that this president of the United States, Donald Trump, while he has been...
Now, I know I keep stopping. Now she want to pull out the names of black people whose sons and daughters went through police brutality. She got the nerves to invoke the name of Eric Garner. I know the Gardner family. I met them. I spent some time with them here in New York City and Brooklyn. So I know the Gardner family. I'm not family, but I know them. Eric Gardner's daughter used to watch my show, the Bob TV, the Bernie or Bust TV, because she was a huge Bernie Sanders supporter. Eric Gardner's daughter, Erica Gardner, the one who died recently, who was out there in the forefront championing for her father, murderer, to be charged and convicted. So Kamala Harris want to use this point to try to gain black brownie points. This is all a strategy to get black brownie points. She have to do this because she can't really pull a black card. Because we got too many videos, and I'm going to show you that soon, of her pulling her East Indian card and rarely using the black card till she got in this election. Let me keep going.
And one of the things that we've got to be clear about is that this president of the United States, Donald Trump, while he has been in office, has quietly been allowing the United States Department of Justice to shut down consent decrees, to stop pattern and practice investigations. On that case, we also know that the Civil Rights Division, this is important,
just like you did,
the Civil Rights Division of the United States Department of Justice said charges should have been filed, but this United States Department of Justice usurped, and I believe it is because that president did not want those charges to go forward, and they overrode a decision by the Civil Rights Division of the United States Department of Justice. Under my administration, the Civil Rights Division will reign, and there will be independent investigation.
You ain't gonna do shit. You ain't gonna do shit. You ain't gonna do shit. You ain't gonna do it.
Give you a chance to respond to what Senator Harris just said.
Now, let's stop there. She said if she become president, her Justice Department will rain down on those types of people who are holding back investigation. I told you the only way to really know a person is check out their past, what they've done in the past, what they're doing in the present. All of that will determine what they do in the future. Most of the time, a leopard can't change the spots. I've never seen one change the spot. I don't care how much bleach you put in it. You can't change a leopard spot. And Kamala Harris is a leopard. She can't change her prosecutorial spots that's on her record. But she's saying, well, if I become president, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna fix this. You didn't fix it when you was Attorney General. So how the hell you think you're gonna fix it when you become president? Don't tell me what you're gonna do when you didn't do it in the past. Get out of here with this stuff, man. These people. Let me keep going.
When Senator Harris was the Attorney General for 8 years, in the state of California. There were two of the most segregated school districts in the country.
All right, let me
in
fast
Los
forward
Angeles, case against them to desegregate. The fact was abusing people's rights. And the fact was that she, in fact, was told by her own people, that her own staff, that she should do something about and disclose to defense attorneys like me, that her own...
Now, you know how she's lying? She's moving too much on stage. She ain't taking no notes. She acting like she's taking notes. Keep going.
Own staff, that she should do something about and disclose to defense attorneys like me that you, in fact, have been, the police officer did something that did not give you information that would exculpate your client. She didn't do that. She never did it. And so what happened? Along came a federal judge and said, enough, enough, and he freed 1,000 of these people. If you doubt me, Google 1,000 prisoners freed, Kamala Harris.
Thank you, Vice President Biden. Senator Harris, your response?
This is simply not true. And as Attorney General of California, where I ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, second only to the United States Department of Justice, I am proud of the work we did, work that has received national recognition for what has been the important work of reforming a criminal justice system and cleaning up the consequences of the bills that you passed when you were in the United States Senate for decades. It was the work of creating one of the first in the nation initiatives around re-entering former offenders and getting them jobs and counseling.
Thank you, Senator.
I did the work as Attorney General of putting body cameras on special agents in the state of California, and I'm proud of that work.
I want to bring in Congresswoman Gabbard. Congresswoman Gabbard.
Come on, man. And with the local DBC News, LL Cool J with the Detroit. Don't call it a comeback.
Congresswoman Gabbard, you took issue with Senator Harris confronting Vice President Biden at the last debate. You called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation.
All right, now this is where I got to disagree with Tulsi Gabbard. You cannot do that, Tulsi Gabbard. A racist is not somebody who outwardly just say racist things or have racist attitudes. Racism, that's a part of it. Somebody calling you the N-word, that's a racist. Somebody telling you go back to your country, that's a racist. Calling you a monkey, black monkey, when there's white monkeys out here. They're rare, but they're white monkeys, you know. Racist. You're saying that because of their color. Racist. Yeah, we got black people that call people hunkies, crackers, all that kind of stuff too. And a lot of people think black people can't be racist. Yeah, black people can be racist. A racist is a person who only have love for their kind and nobody else. But Rob, you always talk about you got love for your kind and nobody else. I ain't never told you that lie, man. Go somewhere with that mess. I just put my people first. Because I can't do nothing for anybody else and I'm not doing it for my own people. But Tulsi Gabbard, you're wrong. Joe Biden is racist as they come. He's a bona fide white supremacist. That's another level of racism. A white supremacist is a person who thinks they're supreme over everybody. Most of them are narcissists. Most of them, they don't apologize. They expect you to apologize all the time. Why? Because they're supreme. Oh, you ain't gonna ever get Trump or Joe Biden to say I'm sorry. Because they're racist. They're white supremacists. White supremacists don't say I'm sorry. Unless you got a gun to their head, and even then, they'll probably rather die than say they're sorry to you, you old black Negro. I would never tell you I'm sorry. But every point of his entire career as a politician, he has pushed and passed racist policies. So who are you, Tulsi, to say he is not a racist? Now, I'm sure you're entitled to your own opinion, and that is all it is, opinions. But you're not entitled to your own facts. Facts is, Joe Biden has a record longer than a mile of racist legislation. So stop saying that.
Back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana.
Ooh.
She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so.
All facts. She blocked evidence from being allowed in the case that would free a person of their charges. That normally comes from white supremacist judges, white supremacist legislators, white supremacist prosecutors, FBI agent. Not supposed to come from the black woman who says she cares about her black community.
She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California.
Damn!
And she fought to keep cash bail system in place.
Oh, it hurt, Kamala. It hurts. And for all you Kamala Harris lovers out there, the bottom line is this. These are documented facts, proven on record. It is not fabricated. She's lying all this fabrication stuff, but the stuff that Tulsi Gabbard is talking right now is bona fide, certified, put a stamp on it. It's legit. She done all these horrible, nasty things as Attorney General, as District Attorney, as prosecutor. Not to mention her side hustles of getting to the top of the ladder. We ain't gonna go there. All I can say is sure to get around. That's all I can say. But Tulsi Gabbard is hitting it. But yet, we're about to hear how everybody is so butthurt. They were so happy and proud of Kamala Harris getting on Joe Biden that they can't fathom anybody ever getting on her. Yet, Tulsi Gabbard just laid the smackdown on her, rock bottomed her, gave her the Manny Pacquiao knockout. She bodied Kamala Harris. Her career should be over. Because all need to be done now is people go check the record to see if it's true, and then they'll find out it's true. But I've been telling y'all these things for a long, long time about Kamala Harris. But now it's on the national stage, and people will Google to see if it's true, and it's going to start taking away from her numbers. So what she's going to do, she's going to have to smear Tulsi to keep people from trusting and believing what Tulsi said, which will probably get people not to see if it's true or not. But you got to understand, when it comes to debates, everybody's going to look to see if it's true if they're smart voters. Now, let's keep going.
Impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
Now, you notice she got this little elitist. Who is this girl? Girl, bye. Felicia, bye. Bye, Felicia. Who is this? This is the girl who just took your lunch out your hand, out of your lunchbox, took the lunchbox, opened your lunch, ate your food, closed the lunch back up, and beat you to a pulp with it. That's who she is.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that...
Nah, baby, you ain't reformed the criminal system. You deformed the criminal system in California. It's still messed up to this day.
It needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about reentering former offenders and getting them counseling.
Whoa, let's don't talk about what you created. Let's talk about the mess you created before you talk about the good things you so-called created. You say you're proud of the work that you've done. The work that you've done was horrible. You talked about putting parents in jail because their kids didn't show up for school. You talked proudly, laughed, giggled. said that you had a badge and you would put that badge on a letter and you would send that letter to all the parents in San Francisco and Oakland and all that, and the letter basically said, if you don't have your kids in school, I'm coming to lock you up. And you, not being a parent, never had a child a day in your life, don't understand what parents go through with their child. The struggle between the child and the parent, especially when they get older. You have no clue of what's that like because you never had a child. The only children that you have right now is from your new husband, and those are not your children. You never birthed a child, you never nurtured a child, you never raised a child, but you want to laugh about putting their parents in jail if the child don't go to school. And you don't understand. Back in those days, in Oakland, in San Francisco, in Compton, in South Central LA, we had to deal with gangs. And we had to deal with the survival of drugs and staying above the drug game. And a lot of times kids were forced to be in the drug game or they died. It happened in Chicago, it happened in New York. This is gang history. And you don't know what that child is going through. That child could have been bullied in school. He could have been threatened by a gang member in school. If he show up, he's going to get killed. Of course he's not going to go. You can drop him off in front of the school, and as soon as you leave off, he's going to walk the other way. Or go into school and come out the back way. But yet you want to fault the parents. But let me get off that. That's a whole video by itself. I'm telling you, this woman is horrible. She is a horrible politician. She is a horrible legislator. She's a horrible prosecutor. And anybody, that's why I am very careful about who I'm voting, because whoever I vote for, if I voted for somebody, they might make this fool attorney general. Let me keep going.
It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize but legalize marijuana in the United States.
Are you done? Are you done? Are you done? Are you done? Okay, okay. I'm about to shit on this bitch right now.
To make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not, and worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that.
Look at that. Look at the face. You know, I don't know how to read body language, but sometimes I know body language. Some body language is just obvious. Look at her face. She knows she got owned. She never thought anybody would bring that record. Why? Because the Democratic Party got a dumb philosophy that you don't make the other person look bad. Who the hell are you? You trying to keep your club looking good when there are people out here on the street struggling. And you trying to tell us don't make them look bad? They're making everyday people look bad every day. I had to tell one of my homeboys that today. He's talking about, well, we need these centric people. It's the centric people that has caused a stalemate for the past 30 years, especially when it comes to black people. We ain't supposed to talk about your record, especially when it's crap. No, I'm gonna talk about you personally, because your personal, to me, for you to vote this way, to legislate this way, means you got a personal issue. See, here's the bottom line, and here's what I believe, and this is my philosophy, you can't dispute it. Kamala Harris don't like her dad. Her dad is a Jamaican economist. He's smart, intellectual, and he's done a lot for the Jamaican economy. He took a lot of stuff he learned from Stanford and took it back to Jamaica. She is bitter at her dad because her dad left her East Indian mama. So her dad being a black man, I believe that she hates black men. Rob, you going somewhere where you don't need to go. Yeah, how come she got this, she married to a white Jewish attorney. Do I believe that was because they love each other? Well, she showed on Parade Him Around, man. Barack Obama loved him some Michelle Obama. He paraded Michelle around like she was the best, like she, you know. He knew Michelle Obama made him look good, so he paraded Michelle. He never hired Michelle up in the cut. Kamala Harris always hired her white husband in the cut and her kids. They only pop up on the red carpet every now and then. I really believe she don't like black men. And that's why it was so easy. It was a joy for her to throw black men in jail. And it was easy and for a joy to threaten black male kids' parents if they didn't show up for school, because most of these legislations of hers hit more black male than anybody. But that's my opinion. Like I said earlier, I'm entitled to my own opinion. I'm not entitled to my fact. It may not be true, but that's what I believe. She don't like black men.
And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Senator Harris.
Look at her, look at her. You owe them an apology.
My entire career, I have been personally opposed to the death penalty, and that has never changed. And I dare anybody who is in a position to make that decision, to face the people I have faced, to say, I will not seek the death penalty. That is my background. That is my work. I am proud of it. I think you can judge people by when they are under fire, and it's not about some fancy opinion on a stage, but when they're in the position to actually make a decision, what do they do? When I was in the position of having to decide whether or not to seek a death penalty on cases I prosecuted, I made a very difficult decision that was not popular to not seek the death penalty.
Yeah, but the bottom line, Kamala Harris, there were evidence that could have freed this person from the death penalty, and you decide not to let the evidence come in, risking somebody's life. So you just say that you decided that. It was personal. You decided to do the death penalty. But we got people who had evidence that they didn't do it, and you still pursued to have them executed. I wonder why. Was this a white male? Latino male? White woman? I think that person was a black male.
History shows that, and I am proud of those decisions.
Senator Harris, thank you.
She wasn't ready. She wasn't ready.
Thank you very much. Senator Bennett, a question for you.
All right, so that was Tulsi Gabbard smacking down, calling her out. See, Kamala Harris had a good shot. She's a prosecutor, a very skilled prosecutor, so she should be good at cutting people down and making a case and convicting them with that case. But she never met a Tulsi Gabbard. Now, I got my different with Tulsi Gabbard because I seen Tulsi Gabbard blow off a person who talked about reparation. And you know, we'll deal with that another day. But Tulsi Gabbard told the truth. Joe Biden tells the truth. But Kamala Harris continued to lie about her horrible record. I was proud of this. I was proud of that. You sound like Joe Biden. I was proud to craft the racist crime bill that put a lot of black men in jail, and in jail to this day, some of them got killed, with my very hand. She's saying the same thing. To me, Kamala Harris is Joe Biden with a tan, lipstick, and a wig on. She ain't no different from Joe Biden. And I'm glad Tulsi Gabbard called her out on her ish. Her B-ish. Now, later on the next day, she knew she lost the debate. She knows she got her behind spanked by Kamala Harris. And I'm not talking about spanked, old sorority fraternity spanked with the board. She took her Phi Beta Kappa, whatever she is, she took her board off her wall in her office and spanked Kamala Harris with that board. Oh, it was brutal. And it was beautiful. Gotta say it was beautiful, because nobody was calling her out except YouTubers like me. But to see Tulsi Gabbard call her out on the national stage, Joe Biden did it, but he did it half-assly. But let's look at what happened within the 24-hour cycle since that happened. All right, so we're going to go to The View. View talks about Tulsi Gabbard takes on Kamala Harris. And you know what I don't like The View. It's a bunch of cackling old women, yipping and yapping in their mouth, don't know what they talking about. All they need is some gin. All they need is some cars. They're no different from the days when the elderly women met up and played gin rummy. They just got a camera in front of them this time. Now, they never liked Tulsi Gabbard. And the only thing they can try to dump on Tulsi Gabbard is her going to Syria, talking to the people of Syria as a peace candidate, trying to keep peace, trying to get to the truth when none of these other politicians had the guts or balls to go down there and do it themselves. She did. She went down there to the ground and talked to the people of Syria while there were war going on, while there were bombs being dropped off. She put on her own helmet and went and talked to the people and got the story from both sides. Then all of a sudden Assad decided to have her come up. Oh, she don't supposed to talk to Assad? Tulsi Gabbard is trying to keep us from going to war. She's trying to keep soldiers at home. And she ain't supposed to get a chance to talk to the ruler of the country? Y'all just mad because y'all ain't have that juice. She have every right as a citizen, as a veteran, combat veteran at that, medic veteran at that, and a senator and a politician to talk to world leaders. Whether we agree with them or not, it's the right thing to do. And Obama mentioned that. And now y'all want to hate on her because she had talks with a, well, she's not saying Assad is a brutal murder. Well, have you given some real concrete evidence of that man brutally murdering somebody? You know who are brutal murderers? The United States. But we ain't gonna go there because we partner up with brutal murderers in Saudi Arabia, and they murder people all day, every day. But let's listen to Whoopi Goldberg. Let's listen to The View and their response to this situation with Kamala Harris getting stomped, curb stomped, Seth Rollins style by Tulsi Gabbard.
I thought that Kamala didn't do as well as she did during the first debate because she had that breakout moment in the first debate. But I think she does need to do better in terms of defending her record as a prosecutor because we are a nation of laws, and that should be a positive as opposed to a negative. And I thought that Tulsi Gabbard wanted to come for her because she is more of a fringe candidate because her numbers are very low. The Republicans during the first as opposed to a negative. And I thought that Tulsi Gabbard wanted to come for her because she is more of a fringe candidate because her numbers are very low. The Republicans like Tulsi. The Republicans like her, and you know.
All right, so let's stop there because here the cackling old hags. She said the reason Tulsi Gabbard went after Kamala Harris is because of her numbers in the polls. Girl, you mustn't see the last debate when that dude tried to come after, talk all that BS about going to war. And Tulsi and that guy both was in the low numbers in the polls. And she spanked his behind too.
Today, the Taliban claimed responsibility for killing 2 American service members in Afghanistan. Leaders as disparate as President Obama and President Trump have both said that they want to end U.S. involvement in Afghanistan, but it isn't over for America. Why isn't it over? Why can't presidents of very different parties and very different temperaments get us out of there? And how could you?
I appreciate that question. So I've been in Congress 17 years, and 12 of those years I've sat on the Armed Services Committee, either the Defense Appropriations Committee or the Armed Services Committee. And the lesson that I've learned over the years is that you have to stay engaged in these situations. Nobody likes it. It's long. It's tedious. But right now we have, so I would say we must be engaged in this. We must have our State Department engaged. We must have our military engaged to the extent they need to be. But the reality of it is this president doesn't even have people appointed in the State Department to deal with these things, whether we're talking about Central America, whether we're talking about Iran, whether we're talking about Afghanistan. We've got to be completely engaged. And here's why. Because these flare-ups distract us from the real problems in the country. If getting drones shot down for $130 million because the president is distracted, that's $130 million that we could be spending in places like Youngstown, Ohio, or Flint, Michigan, or rebuilding.
Congresswoman Gabbard, I'm going to give you 30 seconds, actually, to jump off what he said. He described engagement as the problem. Is that what you will
tell the parents of those 2 soldiers who were just killed in Afghanistan? Well, we just have to be engaged. As a soldier, I will tell you that answer is unacceptable. We have to bring our troops home from Afghanistan. We are in a place in Afghanistan where we have lost so many lives. We've spent so much money that's coming out of every one of our pockets, money that should be going into communities here at home, meeting the needs of the people here at home. We are no better off in Afghanistan today than we were when this war began. This is why it's so important to have a president and commander-in-chief who knows the cost of war and who's ready to do the job on day one. I am ready to do that job when I walk into the Oval Office. Thank you very much.
Listen, I'm going to go down the line. I'm going to go down the line here. Well, you know what? You felt like she was responding. You get 30 seconds.
Very
Go.
good man.
Fair
I
enough.
appreciate that.
I hear what you're saying.
I would just say I don't want to be engaged. I wish we were spending all this money in places that I've represented that have been completely forgotten and we were rebuilding. But the reality of it is, if the United States isn't engaged, the Taliban will grow and they will have bigger, bolder terrorist acts. We have got to have some present there. As
the Taliban was there long before we came in. They'll be there long before we leave.
Well,
we cannot keep U.S. troops deployed to Afghanistan thinking that we're going to somehow squash this Taliban that has been there, that every other country that's tried
I didn't say
has failed.
squash them. When we weren't in there, they started flying planes into our buildings. So I'm just saying right now,
the Taliban didn't attack us on 9/11. Al-Qaeda did.
Well, I understand.
Al-Qaeda attacked us on 9/11.
I understand.
That's why I and so many other people joined the military to go after Al-Qaeda, not the Taliban.
The
Taliban finish up 10
was
seconds.
protecting those people who were plotting against us. All I'm saying is, if we want to go into elections and we want to say that we got to withdraw from the world, that's what President Trump is saying. We can't. I would love for us to.
You know who's protecting Al-Qaeda right now in Saudi Arabia.
So why wouldn't she spake Kamala Harris behind if she gonna sit there and tell a lie? This ain't got nothing to do with polls. This has nothing to do with trying to rise up in the poll. That's just who Tulsi Gabbard is. She's done it to anybody. She's done it to you guys. She's done it to Stephen Colbert. She's done it to Bill Maher. You name it. Anybody gonna come up her with some BS, she gonna shut you down. So shame on you, lady, to say the reason that she came out of Kamala Harris is because she's low in the polls and she's a French candidate. She's a candidate. The only reason Kamala Harris is a so-called top tier is because y'all said she's top tier. Don't mean she's top tier. She's supposed to come after Kamala Harris. She's supposed to come after Joe Biden. She's supposed to come after Bernie Sanders if he's not right. People need to know the truth, and she was supposed to tell it. That's why you debate. That's the whole purpose of a debate. To get the truth out there about the candidate policy, and she did what she's supposed to do, and you mad. But let me keep going.
I think she's a real Trojan horse here because when you look at her record in particular,
That's the same thing my homeboy said today, that Tulsi Gabbard is Trojan horse. How is she a real Trojan horse? For telling the truth? Oh man, it's a shame we getting politicians that tell the truth. She exposed the woman of her record as a prosecutor, and you think that's the thing that she should be shining on when she don't need to be shining at. If anything that don't need to be shined is that shining up doo-doo is hard to do. Even if it get hard, it's still hard to shine up a piece of doo-doo. And her record is doo-doo. Soft doo-doo at that. We keep going.
she's apologized for it, but she was very anti-LGBTQ community.
The key word is she apologized for it, and yes, she was LGBT community. You know why she was LGBT community? That's when she was a kid. And then she served in the war, and she evolved in some of her beliefs concerning the LGBTQ community. But will you talk about the different legislation pieces that she co-authored and signed for that promotes the LGBT community? I doubt you do it, but let's see.
She also has praised Trump for meeting with Kim Jong-un.
She did not praise Trump for meeting Kim Jong-un. She said it was the right thing to do to meet the Kim Jong-un to keep us from getting in a freaking nuclear war because we were heading toward it. But no, you want to kiss up to people like Joe Biden and all them who would love to go to war with North Korea and probably North Korea send off a bomb and blow off half of Hawaii, if not all of it. So you're upset at a woman who wants to seek peace and who wants to tell the truth. I'm waiting for Assad to come in because it's going to come in somewhere.
3 times.
That's why they like her.
She was one of 47 House Democrats who joined her Republican colleagues voting for a measure that would halt Syrian and Iraqi refugees from resettling in the U.S.
Let me go back to that.
She's also Syrian and Iraqi refugees and colleagues voting for a measure that would halt Syrian and Iraqi refugees from resettling in the U.S. She's also refused to call Assad a war criminal.
All right, so we're going to stop there. You say she refused to call Assad a war criminal. What war did Assad declare? War on who? Oh, his own people. Who say he's at war with his own people? Our CIA, our lying CIA? Our lying FBI? Oh, our lying Secret Service. And how can we call somebody a war criminal when our past 3 presidents, including the fool in office right now, yeah, I said it, are partnering with other countries to drop bomb all over the Middle East? Barack Obama's drone strike program have killed so many people in the Middle East. Most of them was children, innocent women, grandmothers and grandmothers who were nowhere near terrorists, but we bombed them anyway. And you don't think he should be called out for being a war criminal? George Bush the same way? Dick Cheney the same way? Hillary Clinton the same? Because she authorized and got Obama's approval to go out there and invade Libya, ultimately turning it into a failed state, killing the president of the country when the country was a prosperous, booming economy, ready to compete with the world. The president even wanted to be friends with President Obama. He smiled in the face all the time. He was plotting to get the man killed. Now it hunts Barack Obama every day. He says it's the worst thing he ever did in his life. I'm glad he admit that. But you get mad because Tulsi won't call Assad a war criminal. Yet our very own last three presidents are war criminals according to the World Court. But let's keep going.
And actually,
She refused to do it last night.
She refused to do it last night. And then, per an NBC News report,
Really?
Russian propaganda machines favors Gabbard. So when I look at all of that, I'm.
Russia propaganda favors her. Okay, what did you do? Russians like her. Republicans like her. What's wrong with that? Is that bad? Is that evil? Or is that something that you're afraid of? You're afraid Republicans, independents might like her and her numbers might go up in the poll. You guys going through all this energy to try to smear Tulsi Gabbard, all because she called Kamala out while she was calling Joe Biden out again. Kamala thought she was going to have Joe Biden call out part 2, a shame Biden festival, and Tulsi Gabbard came and shamed Kamala. And you guys are mad, you're upset because your golden girl, Kamala, who you love to have on the show and you just praise, she got dumped on, man. She got pile drived. She got clothesline lariat. She got choke slam from hell by Tulsi Gabbard. And you mad. So you're going to go on the smear thing. Let's keep going.
I'm concerned that she is attacking Harris, and I'm concerned that she has any traction.
So
You're concerned because she attacked Harris, but you weren't concerned about Harris attacking Joe. You're supposed to attack somebody on their record. She's not personally attacking her, even though she could, and I believe she should. She's not personally attacking Kamala Harris. She's just stating the record.
agree that her
Well, the
record on
Republicans will start
Assad,
throwing money at her.
I agree that her, when she came on the show, you and I asked her about it, and I believe you brought up Venezuela.
Now let me stop this. Republicans can throw all the money she want. She still made a pledge that she's not going to take corporate PAC money. If a Republican want to give into the campaign of Tulsi Gabbard, then that's fine. Because you guys, you love it when Republicans say they decide they're going to support Joe Biden. Oh, when Joe Biden came on The View, Meghan McCain was excited.
Back with former Vice President and newly Democratic presidential candidate, none other than the legendary Joe Biden. We're so excited that you're here. Joe, I have to ask you, what took so long to get into the race? We're so happy you finally announced.
Well, you know,
Oh, Joe, what happened? What took you so long to get in the race? We're so happy that you finally announced. Yeah, Joe Biden getting the support of this Republican, Meghan McCain, over Donald Trump. Yeah, Joe Biden said he gets it on with Dick Cheney.
First of all, I actually like Dick Cheney for real. I get on with him. I think he's a decent man.
Him and Dick Cheney gets it on. I love that guy, man. Dick Cheney gets it on. Joe Biden talks about his relationship with white supremacist Republicans and white supremacist Democrats. Oh, me and Mitch, we know each other. See, I can work with Mitch. You got the nerves to talk about Tulsi Gabbard having Republican voters from the grassroots supporting her campaign, talking to Trump when he first got elected, you got the nerves to talk about that when you got the rest of your favorite politicians out here advocating for war, advocating for Republican votes, talk about how their relationships are with other Republicans. But you're going to get on her because Republicans like her. Get out of here with that mess.
I'm not expunging that, but I will say the idea that because she got a really good blow into Kamala and smoked her on an issue, talking about how she put people in jail for smoking weed and then bragged about how she smoked weed on the radio. It was a great line. She landed a big blow on what was the front runner last time. The idea that she's now a Trojan horse is just political posturing.
I don't know about that, though.
Now, you got me agreeing with Meghan McCain. The idea that she is a Trojan horse is stupid. You got to understand, every Democrat is not going to support your favorite candidate. People got their own minds and own decision. I did a video on that yesterday. And just because your candidate become the nominee doesn't mean every Democrat is going to support that candidate. But yet, you will jump for joy if a Republican support that candidate. But would you call your candidate a Trojan horse because a Republican jumped ship from Donald Trump to support your candidate? No. And just remember, in the general, I don't have to register as a Democrat to support a Democrat. So these cackling women up here, man, I'll tell you, let's keep going.
Trojan horse thing. Maybe I'm
Ridiculous.
paranoid, but
Yeah,
after
you're paranoid.
Jill Stein, I am paranoid.
That's right.
And there is a
After Jill Stein, what the hell did Jill Stein do to you? You women, man, you give women a bad name. A bad name. Because I don't understand how you guys are on this multi-million dollar show. All you guys are getting paid multi-million dollars. You live here in New York like I do. Most of you are taking a high-class taxi or got a driver coming from ABC to pick you up, or you're flying in a helicopter. But your talking points are here a bunch of bull crap. And here I am, little Big Rob, a YouTuber, got more common sense than all y'all combined. You're talking out of your behind. Straight out of the crack of your behind, you're talking. No, literally, your mouth has literally moved off your face and attached to your butt. And that's where you're having your conversations from. Because all your conversations are booty. Straight booty. You're paranoid of Tulsi Gabbard because she beat the crap at Kamala at a game. You was so excited about, well, Kamala Harris She knows how to go toe-to-toe with Trump because she went toe-to-toe with Joe Biden. But yeah, here come Tulsi Gabbard going toe-to-toe and slamming Kamala Harris. You can't give Tulsi Gabbard the credit that she can go toe-to-toe with Trump. You are biased. And when I say bias, I'll say it slow. Ass.
Ton of there's a lot of writings on it today on Tulsi, and I like Tulsi. I disagree with her vehemently on foreign policy in particular. But I'm seeing people who used to dislike her tremendously now all of a sudden like her. Yeah. And there's a lot of writings in things like Russia Today. There's a lot of Russian
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with people all of a sudden warming up to Tulsi Gabbard? What's wrong with people having to change of heart? What's wrong with RT covering her? It's a news channel. RT covers Trump. RT covers Joe Biden. RT covers Kamala Harris. They cover everybody.
Traffic around Tulsi. There's something going on. I suspect it's not knowingly by her because I think she's a decent human being who served this country. But
can I tell you why
paranoid.
I liked parts of her? Because she's a combat veteran. She's talking about patriotism in a way that I have heard no other candidate other than Biden talk about. She's pro-gun. She's pro-military. She's speaking in a lot of ways that is resonating with Republicans that have. By the way, did I or do I not make sure that we put in that the gentleman that was poisoned by Putin got in the show because I didn't think it was getting enough publicity in the media. So the idea that I'm somehow watching RT, by the way, I can't even travel to Russia because my family's sanctioned from going there, and I like her at the same time.
Nobody's saying you. I'm talking about other people. I mean, just because I'm making a reference doesn't mean it's a reference to you. It would lead to a more constructive behavior if you didn't
I am in the
take it
Venn
personally.
diagram of what you just said. I am that person. I am a Republican who thinks what she's saying is interesting.
That's why I say the Republicans like her, and they're going to start throwing money at her.
And you know what?
So just
God
keep your
forbid
eye on her
any
out there.
Republicans like any of the Democratic candidates on any way. Just bloodlet every independent and Republican who's curious about any Democratic candidates out. And at the same time, keep attacking Obama and his wife.
I will tell you,
I mean,
her
really
best
winning
friend-
strategy, guys.
Her best friend in Congress used to be very close to Adam Kissinger, a Republican. They were both combat veterans. That
He's
relationship
also a friend of mine, by the way.
Okay, and he's a friend of mine too. That relationship has ended because of her apologism for Assad, because she went and visited with.
Oh God, my head is about to explode with these women. She have no basis for what she's saying. How in the hell, ABC, you got this lady on this show? She's no different from that woman who said
Bernie Sanders makes my skin crawl, and I can't even identify for you what exactly it is, but I see him as sort of a not pro-woman candidate. And so having the two of them there, like, I don't understand young women who support him, and I'm hoping that having him next to her will help highlight that, because those are the people that if I were her, I would want to say, well, why are you supporting him and not me if you're going to choose between the two of us?
that is not a valid reason for you to be on a national television show talk about why you don't like Bernie Sanders. Tell us why. Show us what policies. Your feelings don't mean nothing. And your feelings in this case don't mean nothing. There's nothing wrong with Republicans liking her, just like there's nothing wrong with a Democrat liking a Republican. Donald Trump got a lot of Democrats, some former Obama supporters. He got a lot of their support. You think that Republicans talking about, I don't know, he got Democrats voting for him. You guys sound like a bunch of dumbasses, man. I hate cussing, but you making me cuss. You sound and look like a bunch of dumbasses. What are you talking about? Assad apologist. What did she say? I'm sorry for Assad. No, she just say, you ain't giving me enough evidence to make a final decision on him being a criminal in this particular situation. Give me evidence. I don't want to hear what you say. Show me evidence. And that's how you should be and anybody else should be. Person is innocent till they proven guilty, which, or at least supposed to be. When you haven't proved. Now, I'm not saying he never did anything, but it's most of these cases that you're trying to dump on Assad and get a reason to go to war, you lack proper evidence. And then when you do a real investigation on the ground, come to find out these things like the gas attack and all of that were motivated by outside actors, like Tulsi Gabbard says, that has been funded by U.S. dollars. U.S. all to make Assad look like he did this particular act. But you want us just to sit there and believe that. Get out of here.
Assad, because she
I'm
can't
not
call
supporting
him
her.
a
I just think what
monster
she's
and
saying
a,
is interesting, and I think that the idea that because she got a big hit on Kamala, now she's a Russian stooge.
We have to make some
I'm
money.
not saying that.
Somebody
I'm
has to
saying
make money.
here's what's happening now, y'all.
All right, and Kamala Harris sucked so bad in that particular episode of the debates that even Charlamagne the God had to critique her on this. Watch this.
In last night's debate.
Maybe if I could have had 3 minutes instead of 60 seconds or 30 seconds or 15 seconds, that would have, if I could have done things differently, that would have certainly been one of my choices.
Harris on her heels after coming under attack last night by Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard.
Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite.
All right, that exchange, the one about laughing about it that Gabbard refers to, came from an appearance Harris made on the popular radio show The Breakfast Club, which is hosted by my next guest, Charlamagne the God. It has become a must-stop on the campaign trail. Here's the moment.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay. Like
And I inhale. I did inhale.
Okay.
It was a long time ago, but yes.
I know you have to. Out front now, Charlamagne the God. And I know we played that moment before. It was an important moment. You talked about how genuine she seemed, and now obviously, you were talking about legalizing marijuana during that exchange. Congresswoman Gabbard has come out and put forth, these people that she put behind bars for marijuana. What did you make of that moment in the debate last night?
I didn't think it was a genuine moment simply because if you want to attack, Senator Harris for, I guess, contributing to putting people in jail for drugs, then why wouldn't you attack Joe Biden too? If your purpose was to combat somebody for the war on drugs, I mean, the author of the 94 crime bill and the 88 crack laws was sitting right there in front of you. So I just thought it was kind of low-hanging fruit to go after Senator Harris for that. But everybody should be questioned on their record.
So after Harris was attacked by Gabbard, right, the interview, the debate ended, she came on CNN and she did an interview. She then was talking about the moment with Gabbard, and here's what happened, Charlamagne.
Did you expect that from Tulsi Gabbard? Had you had interaction about that in the past? And how do you think it went?
Well, I mean, listen, this is going to sound immodest, but I'm obviously a top-tier candidate, and so I did expect that I would be on the stage and take hits tonight because there are a lot of people that are trying to make the stage for the next debate.
Yeah, for a lot of them, it's do or die.
Well, yeah, and especially when people are at 0 or 1% or whatever she might be at.
Okay. Does that swagger help or hurt her, Charlamagne?
I mean, it's the truth. She is a top-tier candidate. Her, Joe Biden on that stage were the big guns, so everybody was, coming up against them. I mean, and, Gabbard, I can't even pronounce her name. Is it Gabbard? She is.
All right, so first of all, let me comment on Charlamagne. Tulsi Gabbard, her record. Tulsi Gabbard has reached most of the time with integrity. My only problem I got with Tulsi Gabbard is her stance on the reparations in the form of a financial payment. It's the only part I got wrong. That I have a difference with her. She saw the lack of integrity in the Democratic Party. She was the vice chair, Kamala, which means she was second in charge of running the Democratic Party. But because she saw the Democratic Party having lack of integrity, she stepped down. So you could be the top tier in the election. Don't you dare get cocky and arrogant. You shouldn't even been saying that out your mouth. You're starting to sound like Hillary Clinton. I'm winning. I got this, and you lost. So to get the idea, of course, she's going to attack me. I'm way up here, and she's just a little peon. Wrong move. Wrong move. And look, you're right. You're supposed to go with the big guns. And I agree with Charlamagne the God in this. She should have went after Joe Biden, and she should have went after Kamala. But Kamala, she was sitting right next to her. You're standing right next to her. You talked all that trash about Joe Biden. You set yourself up to get hit. You set yourself up. It's like when I played T-ball. Didn't nobody pitch a T-ball. You put the ball on top of the tee and you hit it. You did that. You put yourself on top of the T, and Tulsi Gabbard knocked you out the park. Should she attack Joe Biden? Yeah, she should, but she didn't. And look, Tulsi Gabbard, you need to get at Joe Biden and his record and stop acting like he's not racist. Let's keep going.
At 0%.
So you like the swagger. You like that. I don't mean to be immodest.
Yeah, it's the truth. Even though she should have had that swagger on the stage last night, because she was terrible on the stage last night.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Is she still your favorite, or?
Yeah, she's still my favorite simply because our current president is a criminal, and who better to go up against a criminal than a prosecutor? Like, Donald Trump needs to be prosecuted.
So I want to ask you about another candidate.
And here where I disagree with you again, Charlamagne the God. Who should go up against a criminal than a prosecutor? So you'd rather have this woman who put more black men in jail, people like yourself, to run this country, to defeat Trump. She's your favorite. She is not electable, man. She is not electable. And the idea of the smearing Tulsi Gabbard and blowing her off at the 1%, 2%, 3%, she's going to start moving up. We're still early, man. The election ain't till a year from now. It's still over a year from now. The primaries, we got a little less than a year, so we still got time. Her numbers can go up, and if she keep hitting people like that, her numbers will go up. And who is better to hit at Donald Trump than Kamala Harris? Tulsi Gabbard.
That we've talked about, you've had on your show. Cory Booker, obviously you know him well from New Jersey, the senator. I asked you before which candidate was the least comfortable talking about race and all the conversations that you've had with him, and you said, without hesitation, Cory Booker. You told me, we want to know exactly what type of agenda you have for African Americans, and you said he wasn't prepared to answer that. Did he change your mind at all last night?
Cory Booker won the debate last night, if you ask me. You know what I'm saying? I thought he did great, and because he brought up things that I've been waiting for people to question. You know, I wanted.
He didn't win a debate, Charlamagne. Let me get off Charlamagne. He's talking about your bull crap.
People to question Joe Biden on his, tough on crime stance. I wanted, somebody to talk about the Russian interference that we all know exists, that Robert Mueller talked about in his Mueller report, that the Senate Intel Committee has talked about, that I'm scared of because I'm a private citizen that has to vote next year.
So let me play.
Here we go again with this Russian interference. Couple of Facebook ads. That's it, Charlamagne the God. Mueller indicted 13 people but never convicted them. Stop with this stuff. Let me get off this. All right, now Tulsi Gabbard actually were caught by TMZ, and this is what she said about Kamala Harris coming back after her on TMZ.
She took a shot at you. Senator Harris said, look, I'm a top-tier candidate, and Gabbard is a 0 or 1%er.
It's pathetic, to be honest, because instead of dealing with and answering and countering the points that I was raising, the facts about her record, in whatever way she would choose to, she's instead resorted to, pithy comments and cheap smears. I think that's a disservice to voters, and they deserve better. They deserve answers. They deserve the truth.
Devil's advocate. So what about the argument that, you bring up stuff she did 10 years ago, Senator Harris brings up things that Joe Biden did long before that, the argument that people evolve and times are different, and to look at everything through the 2019 lens and go after somebody for something they did at a different time, before they evolved into the positions they have now.
Before the country evolved.
It almost punishes them for evolving. What about that?
Yeah, no, I think it's important. We want people to be able to evolve and change, recognize mistakes of the past, and move forward so that we can have better leadership. The problem here is this is Senator Harris's last job. She was just elected to the U.S. Senate a couple of years ago. We're talking about her record that she held as Attorney General of California, which was the job she held just before she was elected to the U.S. Senate. So this is not something that happened 10, 20, 30, or 50 years ago.
And she is right. And then she shows up to talk to Chris Cuomo.
Harris may not have been surprised by the specific accusations, but she didn't have specific replies. And Gabbard didn't make those allegations up. They're not unsupported. A lot of them come from an op-ed that was written by somebody who used to work with Senator Harris. Now, how did it work out? Well, that situation, you could argue, made Tulsi Gabbard the most Googled candidate during the second CNN debate. It's also made Gabbard a target herself. Let's bring in the Hawaii Congresswoman. Good to have you on Primetime.
Aloha, Chris. Good to talk to you.
Good to see you. So I want to talk to you about how you took and why you seemed obviously dissatisfied with the senator's answers last night, what you think the state of play is after last night for you and the other Democrats. But I want to clear something up. You need to acknowledge that Bashar al-Assad is a murderous despot, and you can still make your argument that the United States has no business risking blood and treasure in places where it should not be. I don't understand why you didn't give that answer last night.
Well, first of all, let's talk about what you're addressing here. And I don't dispute anything that you're saying there. He's a brutal dictator, just like Saddam Hussein, just like Gaddafi in Libya. The reason that I'm so outspoken on this issue of ending these wasteful regime change wars is because I have seen firsthand this high human cost of war and the impact that it has on my fellow brothers and sisters in uniform. You know, Chris, I respect you because you've spent a lot of time throughout your career shining a light on the challenges that veterans face when they come home. I will do anything and everything that I possibly can to stop sending our men and women in uniform into harm's way, fighting in these wasteful, counterproductive wars.
The notion deserves nothing but respect, Congresswoman. Deserves nothing but respect. I'm not disputing that. I think it's a legitimate claim. But here's what I'm asking.
Even if
you put yourself in a hole, though, Congresswoman.
Let me just finish. Let me
Go
finish.
ahead. Finish your point,
Let me
please.
finish this point because it's essential. It's central to the question that you're asking. I will never apologize to anyone for doing all that I can to prevent more of my brothers and sisters in uniform from being sent into harm's way to fight in these wasteful, counterproductive regime change wars, even if it means meeting with a brutal dictator focused on that objective, keeping the American people safe, making sure my brothers and sisters in uniform are honored by only being sent on missions that are worthy of their sacrifice, and making it so that we stop wasting trillions of our taxpayer dollars on more of these wasteful wars when they are so needed right here at home to address the essential and urgent needs of people in our communities, people like those here in Detroit.
I take issue with none of that. None of it. Do not make any other assumption about anything. I'm talking about one specific thing. All of that is completely valid and does not need any benefit to Bashar al-Assad. On your website, I don't understand why you have information on there that questions the notion that Assad is responsible for things that the U.S. intel and the United Nations intel believe he's responsible for. You don't need to defend him to make your argument. I don't understand why you do.
I've never defended Assad.
The stuff on the website questions the legitimacy of his connection to the attacks.
What you're referring to are cynicisms, a skepticism that I have expressed because I've served in a war that was caused by people who lied to us, who lied to the American people, who presented false evidence that members of Congress and U.S. senators believed and voted for a war that resulted in the loss of lives of over 4,000 of my brothers and sisters in uniform. The very first thing I did every single day when I served in Iraq in that field medical unit during the height of that war in 2005 was go through a list name by name of every American casualty and injury that had occurred in the previous 24 hours. I know the cost of war in a way that none of those other people on that stage last night can understand. So yes, I will always ask the tough questions. I will ask for the evidence. And as we're seeing, evidence is constantly coming through. It's our responsibility as lawmakers and as leaders in this country to make sure that our U.S. military is not being activated and deployed to go to war unless we are certain, A, that it serves the best interests of the American people, and B, that action will actually have a positive impact.
That's why we argue on this show all the time.
The questions I'm raising are based on this experience that I've had.
I hear you.
Of making
I would argue
sure
that
that
what's
we are
on the
doing
website
the right thing.
isn't just raising questions, it's speculating in a way that isn't based by fact. But we've discussed that, and I don't want to spend all the time on it. And we argue on this show all the time
Let me just point you to two quick things.
Let
Let me just point you to two quick things on that.
Go ahead.
Can I point you to two quick things on that? There was a report that was recently sent out from the OPCW, the UN's organization responsible for investigating incidents of chemical weapons attacks, that brings into light a lot of different evidence that wasn't previously reported. And secondly, there's a professor from MIT who has also been an expert in missile attacks and chemical weapons, who's also shed a lot of light on this. What I'm saying is
they've raised some questions about what the
evidence.
dynamic is there. Nobody's exonerating Assad. Let me ask you something else, Congresswoman. Why do you think Senator Harris didn't have specific responses for you last night? And what do you...
All right, let me go back to this because Chris Cuomo just said something. He know he can't dispute her on what she's saying, and he don't even know who she's talking about. And then he just threw in there because he was losing the argument. Let's see what he had to say again.
Light on this. What I'm saying is
they've raised some questions about what the
evidence.
dynamic is there. Nobody's exonerating Assad. Let me ask.
They raised the question of the dynamics, but nobody is exonerating Assad. You don't know what the UN has done, Chris. You don't know. And nobody has convicted Assad or condemned or charged him. The only people who are saying that is our intelligence agency, because our intelligence agency wants to go to war with Assad and Russia and Syria. Why? Because we want to put an oil pipeline down there and make some money, Chris Cuomo. But let me keep going, Tulsi.
Ask you something else, Congresswoman. Why do you think Senator Harris didn't have specific responses for you last night? And what do you think last night means to you going forward?
That's a great question that I wish someone would ask Senator Harris.
If she comes on the show, I'll ask her, I promise, Congresswoman. As soon as she's here, it'll be the first thing out of my mouth.
I believe that you will, because she didn't give any answers, not just to me, but to the American people last night on that debate stage. And in the interviews that she had after the debate, she again refused to address this record that she had as Attorney General that she claims to be so proud of. A lot of concerns and a lot of issues raised there. This isn't personal. It's really about making sure that the American people have the truth, because that's what this process is all about. It's about understanding how critical the decision is that's before us and the kind of leadership that we seek to bring.
Do you think she has good answers to those questions?
If she has, she's failed to present them. I think the fact that the answers she's chosen to give has nothing to do with it. She will not address the concerns raised regarding her record that she's said she's proud of. Frankly, that has caused more harm and more pain and suffering to people in California during that time, and how instead of using her position of power to be that force for positive change, to be a champion for the people that she claims to be, instead she used it to further oppress people in an already broken criminal justice system. And the only response that I've heard her and her campaign give is to push out smear attacks on me, claim that I am somehow some kind of foreign agent or a traitor to my country, the country that I love, the country that I put my life on the line to serve, the country that I still serve today as a soldier in the Army National Guard.
I have seen what's out there and what propaganda is being put out about what connections and who likes you and who's trying to help you. I don't give it any attention on this show because I don't think it warrants it. But I will fight you on the facts, and the invitation always stands. And please know this, before anything else, this show thanks you for your service. We know what it means.
I appreciate it,
I know I didn't
Chris.
have it in me to do what you did, and I appreciate it, and I respect it, and I respect your devotions to the others who are in uniform. So thank you, Congresswoman. I look forward to seeing you again.
So there you have it. Tulsi Gabbard have a whirlwind day today within the 24 hours since dumping, smacking, kicking in the throat, punching in the jaw, politically speaking, in a debate against Kamala Harris. Now, what Kamala Harris is going to do is she's going to try to dig in the record and see if she can clap back on Tulsi Gabbard. And she's going to try to clap back in public because she's ashamed. She looks stupid. And only thing she can do is smear Tulsi. And the only thing her media-ites can do is smear Tulsi. Only thing that her surrogates can do is smear Tulsi. But the fact of the matter is what Tulsi said is absolutely true, and Chris Cuomo confirmed it. And the fact is that the only thing you can do is push up this Assad thing and the fact that Republicans like her. There's nothing wrong with Republicans liking her. There's nothing wrong with Russia liking her, because Russia is not trying to go to war, so they're going to be always in favor of a pro-peace candidate. They're not trying to get in the war. Is that a crime because Russia like one of our candidates? No. You want to make it a crime. You don't think Russia should like any of our candidates, and you're going to assume if they do, she's in cahoots with them. No, you're wrong, and that is smearing, and shame on you for it. And lastly, she's a politician. She has shown integrity from the whole moment that I know about her career. She didn't side with the Hillary Clintons who wanted to rig the election. She stepped down, and she wanted to put in policies to help us go back to paper ballots. There's a list of proposals and a list of laws that she pushed, co-signed, whatever, that promotes helping the citizens of this country. If you're afraid of Russia, Charlemagne the God, if you're afraid of Russia, view, because they favor her, why don't you sign her bill? Why don't you promote people to sign her bill that says, let's go back to paper ballots? Let's get away from computers. Let's go back to paper ballots. No, you ain't going to say that. So start with y'all scared of what Russia might do and they like Tulsi. Start with that BS. If you're scared of what Russia would do or any other country would do, we need to be worried about what our country going to do in other people's election. Were you scared when we're trying to move Maduro out of office? Were you afraid how we removed Saddam Hussein? Were you afraid how we removed Muammar Gaddafi? Were we afraid of how we removed all these politicians out of office? But you were afraid of Russia putting up some Facebook ads, possibly changing people's mind about your candidate. Get out of here with that mess, Charlemagne. Our country do more in turning over countries and flipping them over and putting in puppet leaders than anything. Our country. Barack Obama was good at that. That mess. Bottom line is what Tulsi said is true. And she ain't have a comeback for that truth because she know it's true. She know what she did. And when you know what you did, when your mama caught you and she told you what she saw what you did, you ain't got nothing to say. All you can say is shut your mouth. Opening your mouth is just going to make the whooping even more worse when you get it. And Kamala Harris got whooped by her mama called Tulsi Gabbard. Anyway, I'm done. People on The View, shame of you. You don't even need to be on that show. You need to be called a real view. Because clearly your nose has been stuck in people behind. This is why I wanted to see Tulsi on the debates. This is why I gave into Tulsi's campaign, because I want to see her in the debates. The only issue that I got with Tulsi is the reparation issue, and whenever I get a chance to talk to her or whatever, I'm going to always bring that up, that she need to get off this Clyburn crap. She need to get with the real leaders. Stop assuming you know what it is. You don't know what it is. But Tulsi, she did a good job on this one. She spanked her behind, and I'm so glad she brought up her record. And actually, the only thing that most of you numbnuts can bring up is call her a Russian tool or a Russian Trojan horse, a bunch of BS and all the side BS. All that stuff been debunked. She even debunked it with Chris Cuomo. So go ahead with that stupid mess. That's not going to work, you know. And yeah, she might be low in the polls, but I'm glad that she's taking no prisoners when it comes to these debates. Keep up the good work, Tulsi. I'm Robert Brown with the Rob Report. I'll let you later. Peace. Hey, this is Robert Brown with the Rob Report. I want to thank you for watching this particular segment of the Rob Report. Now, before you go, make sure you smash that like button, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you share this particular video. Hit the notification bell. That way you can be alerted whenever we get a new video done and uploaded. Whoop, there it is. But I do try to offer programs available to you that will save you money. So when you get a chance, go to the EJ for All, E, letter J, number 4, all.com, and get educated on one of the most powerful legal protection programs on the face of this planet. Everybody at least need to know about this phenomenal program. I've been a member for 10 years and it got me out of a lot of situations, saved me a ton of money. And then also, I have a new streaming service available. It's called IXQ TV for $39 a month. You get access to over 6,000 high-quality HD channels, premium channels, you name it, movie channels, sports channel, the best sport packages around. If you're international from another country, you get access to the channels back home. You name it, kids, entertainment, you name it, it's available for you. So go to DominionIXQTV.com, DominionIXQTV.com, and hey, go ahead and put your information in there and get the free trial. Yep, we'll send you a free trial, let you try it out, and I'm telling you, you will love it. And we have a refer for, pay no more ever. As long as you got those 4 people using the service, you never have to pay a cable bill another day in your life. And all those people who support either of those 2 services, I'm going to make sure you have access to the Patreon channel for free. All right, well, I'm Robert Brown with the Rob Report. Holla at you later. Peace.